So you want to create a hook, you want to engage the audience in a way that they continue reading. Right? Again, remember, these people are reading essay after essay, day after day. They're probably bored. You have to bring in something fresh, something new. So, hello everybody. I'm Naima, and today I'm going to be talking about the Common App essay. Before, I would just like to introduce myself a bit. I work as a counselor at Jamboree, helping students with their college applications and their university essays. So, before we jump into the Common App essay and what exactly it entails, I just want to take a minute to talk about the application as a whole. So, as you all might be familiar, your Common App is made out of multiple components. So, there are the essays, which is one component that we're going to be focusing on. But other than that, you have test scores, ACT, SAT, you have your school transcripts, you have your LORs, letters of recommendation, that is written by your school counselor and by teachers who know you well. Then, of course, there is your resume, which is made up of various extracurricular activities that you have done. And then, any community service that you may have done, any kind of awards of recognition that you have received. And all of these different components combined together form your entire application. So it is very important that none of these pieces are in isolation from each other. So the essays that you write must be in conversation with your extracurricular activities, with your community service, with your academic interests. It cannot be in isolation because the admissions officer is going to read your application in one go as a whole, and if it should feel like that the person whose activities, whose resume they have read is the person who is writing this essay. So now let's think a little bit about why is it that American universities are asking the applicants to write these essays, right? So what is the purpose behind it and what are they looking for? So the first thing is, what is it that the rest of your application is not being able to show, right? We talked about scores, we talked about grades, we've talked about the various kinds of activities you have done. But these are all data points, these are statistics. They do not give the admissions officer an idea about who you are as a person. And they are very interested in knowing about you outside of these scores, outside of these activities. Because at the end of the day, they are admitting a human being. They're admitting a person who is going to be a part of their college community. So one of the first things that they're looking for, of course, is intellectual curiosity. The second is your personality. Now, your SAT score is not going to tell them what your personality is, right? But the essay really is the beating heart of the application. This is where your voice shines through, and you are able to tell them things that the rest of your application is not able to convey. Then we have clarity of thought. So they want to see how well you are able to reflect on your past experiences and how well you are being able to articulate them in the essay, right? Again, ability to reflect. It is basically everybody has certain learning experiences in life. How your experiences have shaped who you are today. And last is community belonging, right? They want to see how you fit in with people around you. What kind of a friend are you? What kind of a member of society are you? Because at the end of the day, if you are not somebody who's likable, if you are not somebody who's contributing to your immediate environment, then it doesn't matter how good your scores are. It doesn't matter how well you've done in a certain activity, because the fact is that they only want you if you care about the people in the community around you. So, what kinds of questions can you ask yourself when thinking about writing this essay? The first is, of course, what is it that you want the admissions officer to know about you? What makes you you? And what story are you trying to tell? So these are just some things that that should be in the background while you start reflecting, brainstorming, and thinking about the essay that you have to write. So now let us talk a little bit about the basics. What is the Common App? So the Common App, you might be familiar, is the centralized portal through which you will be applying to most US universities. And this is where you will fill in your biographical details, your school details, your grades, transcripts, your activities, everything goes on here. And one of the sections of the Common App is the Common App essay or the personal statement. Now you have about 250 to 650 words. in this Common App essay space. You should use this space very wisely, right? There is limited space. If you have 650 words that you are being allowed to write, do not just write 300. Why? You should use all the space that is being given to you. So if you're going to use only, let's say, 400 of those 650 given to you, then you're not going to be able to convey the depth of the kind of person you are. The second thing, and I cannot stress this enough, is do not plagiarize. Universities will know if you have, let's say, picked up a sentence from here or there on the internet. If you have decided to use an old friend's essay, they will know, because there is a centralized database that checks every single application for plagiarization. You will automatically be flagged and your application will be removed from consideration. So do not do that. And second of all, your voice only you can bring out. Nobody else can write an essay for you. Nobody else can write the kind of essay that you can. So that really, don't take that lightly. The third is that there is often this impulse that we have to impress, right? That you want to be very impressive. But this is not a space for you to show off. This is a space for you to be likable. So point 3 and point 4 are really connected actually. That your first goal is to be a likable person. Then the last point is that this is not the space for you to repeat your resume. Don't put your resume in paragraph form here. So, you have a list of activities, list of accomplishments that you have achieved in your life till now. And the essay is not the space for you to just repeat those. They already have that information. Do not repeat. This is a space for you to say who you are outside of your resume. So with that, let's really kind of, jump deep into the Common App and think about what is the Common App asking you. So the first prompt is that some students have a background, identity, interest, or talent that is so meaningful that they believe their application would be incomplete without it. If this sounds like you, then please share your story. What is this prompt really asking you to do, right? What are the keywords? Some of the keywords are background, your background, identity, interest, right? Talent. Then it is something, these 4-5 things must be meaningful to you. So meaningful that your story would be incomplete without it, right? So what are some potential things that you could write about? You can talk about your family history. Some people have a unique family history that has a very strong role in shaping them and the kind of person they are. Where you grew up. Some people move around a lot. They've never been in one place constantly, and that definitely shapes their personality. You can, something that you're deeply passionate about, something you care a lot about, and you have spent a significant amount of your time and energy devoted to that, right? So again, this question is tricky because you have to focus on one identity aspect. Everybody has multiple identity aspects, right? I'm a family member, I'm my parents' daughter, I'm also a student, at the same time I am a woman. But this is not the place for me to talk about all of those identities, but to focus on one, right? And I really want to emphasize that your Common App essay should be specific, it should be detailed. Don't be too vague, don't be too broad. You will not be able to keep the person's interest. Then I think the last point that you really need to keep in mind is that it should be something that is important to you. So it has to be a topic that you care about. It should also be a topic that you have plenty to say about. So now let us think a little bit about what could be some potentially good topics and some potentially bad topics to write about in this prompt. So like I already mentioned, this is the most commonly answered prompt, right? But it is fairly open-ended, right? So you have to be, it is the most open-ended question. So you have to be fairly specific in narrating a story. So a good topic, again, like I said, is somebody who has shifted a lot from place to place. They could narrate their experience in terms of change being a constant aspect of their life, in terms of learning to adjust in new environments and new places, making a lot of different kinds of friends, right? So that is, I think, a good topic. Then a bad topic would be and this is, people who play sports do this often, but you will be very inclined to write about how your involvement playing XYZ sport has made you a team player or has taught you how to work hard, taught you the importance. Don't do that. It's a cliche. Think about the huge number of people who have played sports. Most American high school students in particular play sports, and it is very tempting to write about how sports has shaped your life. But the problem is that it can make for a very generic essay. So think of it from the admissions officer's point of view. They are reading essay after essay, and if they're going to be reading so many of the same type, then you're not really going to stand out. And there are 5 or 6 more prompts that you should definitely go over in your own time. But I'm going to now move on to thinking about some 3 rules that are very important to keep in mind. The first rule is to begin with a hook. You have to grab the reader's attention in the very first sentence. You have to make them want to read further. And with that, let us look at an example. So I want you guys to think whether this potential line is a good way to begin your Common App essay or not, right? And I would say it is not. And why not? One, it is extremely vague, it is general, it is making a statement about overall broad aspects about humankind, right? Compassion for those less fortunate than us. That is a very generic statement. It is preachy, it's moralistic. You are not trying to teach the admissions officer about what are good things in life and what are bad things in life. They want to know about you. And last of all, it puts you on a moral high ground. Who are you to say that we should show compassion for those less fortunate than us? Who are you to put yourself in that position? So don't start with these kinds of moral stories about what is a good person, what is a bad person, etc. Really don't do that. Okay. Now now we're really going to jump into examples and think about how you can potentially different ways of writing the essay, and what you can do to make your opening paragraph or opening sentences sharper. So let us look at this opening sentence one, right? Mountain biking taught me that it is okay to fail, but it's more important to constantly get up from your falls. I soon realized that the satisfaction I get from never giving up is more than just achieving success in life. Okay, again, it's a very broad kind of a statement, right? That this sweeping statement that it's important to get up from failures and in order to achieve success. We all know that. We all know that when we fail, if we try again and again, then we will eventually succeed. What is new in that, right? But as an alternative to the same essay, look at this other option, right? 9 on my arms, 7 on my legs, and 3 on my back. There I was attempting to wash off the mud from the day while counting new scars that had been formed, wincing every time water droplets touched them. I cursed myself again and again for choosing this activity. Now, this opening statement creates a level of suspense. The reader does not know what the essay is about, but they know that the narrator is talking about something that they got hurt in. There are bruises. They are cursing themselves. Why are they cursing themselves? What the first sentence is doing is, the first opening sentence is giving away the kind of the gist of the essay, is letting you know the conclusion at the very beginning. Then why does the reader need to read the whole essay? They have no reason to read it. So you want to create a hook, you want to engage the audience in a way that they continue reading. Right? Again, remember, these people are reading essay after essay, day after day. You're probably bored. You have to bring in something fresh, something new. Then the second rule is show, don't tell. Right? So for example, I can say that I'm a very hardworking girl. Why should they believe me? I need to be able to show them that I'm hardworking. Right? So how do I do that? By using details, by using specific instances. So consider this. I signed up for mountain biking as an effort to try something new, but I soon realized that I was the worst in my group, right? Now, another way to do it would be this, right? That after ramming the front of my bike into my instructor's rib cage on the very first day, I realized that I was the worst in my group. So you're showing that I was worst because I did this and this activity, right? There's also a little bit of humor here, which is always a good way to engage your audience. Of course, humor is something that is tricky. You don't want to sound forcefully funny. There's nothing worse than that. Than trying too hard to be funny but not really being funny. Then rule number 3 is to be specific, right? And this kind of relates to the overall point that you want to narrate your story. You want to give them not broad overarching themes, but you want to give specific details and insights. So let's say this. You are trying to say that volunteering at XYZ NGO helped you get over your shyness and made you more confident. Now, how do you show that? So the way to show it would be that I was an extremely shy person before volunteering, and over the past 7 years, cold approaching strangers in the mall has made my confidence blossom. What does this do? It shows a before, it shows who you were before you started volunteering. Then it shows that over the past 7 years, okay, volunteering, it shows the depth of time. It wasn't just one or two instances, it was some consistent activity. And how did it help you become less shy? By cold approaching strangers in the mall, right? So it's specific. There are details to embellish these so-called overarching claims that you are going to be making. And these really are the three things. And to repeat them, the first is that begin with a hook, avoid clichés. The second is show, don't tell. And third is be specific, narrate your story. Give it an arch, a beginning, a middle, and an end to show how progress has happened, to show how you as a person have changed and evolved. And lastly, I'm going to leave you all with an activity to start thinking about your common app essays, irrespective of where you are. Think about a personality trait that you really want to emphasize. So think of this sentence: I am a very dash person, right? You might be a compassionate person, you might be a brave person, you might be an intelligent person, any one word, and think about instances in your life where you have demonstrated that trait. So if you want to say that I'm a very hardworking person, okay, now you've gotten the trait you want to show. Now start noting down incidents in your life where you have shown your hard work. So that's really all for today's video, and hopefully all of you will like the content that we have produced. If you have any questions, please definitely include them in the comments and we will get back to you, and let us know what other kinds of topics you would be interested in hearing from us on. So thank you for watching.